Religions are literally based on accepted and benevolent conspiracy theories. Problems occur not because of what X is, but because of how we define X. So to that end, I'm going to just open up with a definition of conspiracy theories. Shall start with conspiracy from Merriam-Webster's online dictionary here. Conspiracy, noun. Definition of conspiracy, the act of conspiring together. They were accused of conspiracy to commit murder. 2a, an agreement among conspirators. Uncovered a conspiracy against the government. B, a group of conspirators. A conspiracy made up of disgruntled aristocrats. Now let's go to the definition of theory. And this one is plural, is theory, definition of theories. It's a noun. We're still here at Merriam-Webster's. Definition of a theory. Number 1, a plausible or scientifically acceptable general principle or a body of principles offered to explain phenomena. The wave theory of light. 2a, a belief, policy, or procedure proposed or followed as the basis of action. Her method is based on the theory that all children want to learn. 2b, an ideal or hypothetical set of facts, principles, or circumstances, often used in the phrase in theory. Example, in theory, we have always advocated freedom for all. 3a, a hypothesis assumed for the sake of argument or investigation. 3b, an unproved assumption, conjecture. 3c, a body of theorems presenting a concise systematic view of a subject. Example, theory of equations. Number 4, the general or abstract principles of a body of fact, a science, or an art. Example, music theory. Number 5, abstract thought. Another example of that is speculation. Number 6, the analysis of a set of facts in their relation to one another. Now, when I'm applying this to religion, where do you think I'm going wrong? Because when you define conspiracy here, if you don't think that's an accurate definition, let me know. But what's wrong here? The act of conspiring together, an agreement among conspirators, a group of conspirators. So when you think about conspiring, what gets it to that negative way where they talk about, okay, here's the definition of conspire. It says 1a, it says to join in a secret agreement to do unlawful and wrongful act, or an act which becomes unlawful as a result of a secret agreement. And then 1b is listed as scheme, as something there, it means like to scheme something. And with this term, there is something interesting. When they talk about welfare programs in the United Kingdom, and I think in just, the United Kingdom in general, they talk about them as schemes. They say this is a government scheme to do this, it's a scheme to build this, a scheme to help people. And scheme, I think in the United States of America has more of a negative term, but the scheme is just a plan, it's a schema. So the thing is where it comes from. But anyway, so number 2 here, the definition, this says to act in harmony towards a common end. Circumstances conspire to defeat his efforts. The sun and the wind conspire to make splinters out of solid wood. But maybe you prefer splinters, because when you actually talk about the actual myths themselves in religions, the actual dogma material, it normally is one being or a group of beings coming together in their secret. Might not be secret if they're coming together and there's nobody else there, but there's normally these beings, these pantheons, these beings that are above us that have these plans that organize what's going to happen with the greater society. And some of them do scheme things that actually end up harming other people. So when did it come to this actual thing of conspiracy theory being defined as something negative? Here from Britannica it says, an attempt to explain harmful or tragic events as a result of the actions of a small, powerful group. Such explanations reject the accepted narrative surrounding those events. Indeed, the official version may be seen as further proof of the conspiracy theory. So one of the most popular ones is like the JFK assassination. And there's many conspiracy theories that you can think of here, but think about those conspiracy theories. Even when you think of the negative ones, when people propose these happening, they often say this is benefiting a small group of people. Now, when you think about religions in general, when those religions came to be, they were coming from a society where majority of the people didn't believe it. Still today, I think the biggest religion in the world, let me check. Now, the world population is 7.8 billion people. It's estimated to be that. Now, here is the largest religions in the world. This is from World Atlas. Number 10 is Cao Dai with 4.4 million followers. Number 9 is Muism, Sinism, and Shingyo, which is 10 million followers. This is, I think it seems to be based in Korea, around that area. Yeah, it's South Korea and North Korea. Then Taoism, which is 12 million followers. Taoism originated in China about 2,000 years ago. Judaism, for 14 million followers. Judaism has a long storied history and one which can trace its beginnings all the way back to the 8th century BC. Sikhism, and this is in terms of world religion, Sikhism is a relatively new faith. It began in India and is based on the teachings of Guru Nanak and his 10 successors. That's 25 million followers, as I said, and it has spread in different places in the West as people have migrated from that area. Shintoism is 104 million followers. Shintoism is based in Japan, and its beginnings are thought to date back to the 8th century. Buddhism, it's 500 million followers, and with Buddhism, I'm saying religions here and not theologies, because I think something like Buddhism doesn't necessarily have deities. It doesn't have necessarily that. I guess it has a supernatural in a sense, but it doesn't have a god, and God is like with theology. So anyway, Buddhism was founded in ancient India about 2,500 years ago, and is based on the teachings of Buddha, alternatively known as Gautama Buddha or Siddhartha Gautama, born in whatever. So this seems to be some typo here. Then Hinduism with 1.1 billion followers. It says the majority of Hindus reside in such southern Asian countries as India, Nepal, and Indonesia. In the nation of India alone, an estimated 80% of the population identify themselves as being Hindus. Then next, we're going to go to number 2, that's Islam with 1.8 billion followers. Islam began in Mecca in the 7th century. Followers of the religion believe that there is only God, Allah, whose words were written down and took form in the holy book of the Quran, which still serves as the central spiritual text in the faith. Now, then the last one, the biggest one, is Christianity with 2.3 billion followers. Christianity began over 2,000 years ago and is a faith-based is a faith based on the life teachings of Jesus Christ. From its humble beginnings as a tiny subgroup evolved from Judaism, Christianity has grown to become the most popular religion in the world, with followers to be found all across the globe. Now, as you see here, it began as a subgroup evolved from Judaism. This was something that was with a small group of people, and what they're saying was we have this word, just like in Islam, just in these other ones, they have this word in this selected group of people that this new word is somehow going to benefit these people. Sure, some of them say they expand to the entire world, but right now, if you are a believer of any of these religions, you are not in the majority of the world population. You are in a minority, at least in that belief. Now, you have certain things where it's clear with some of these that it's shown that some human beings came together to plan and select what actual material your religion is based off of. Even from the start of it, it was given to certain people that had to be somewhat secretive about actually sharing this, because in general, these new religions were not met by a lot of comfort and kumbaya by the dominating religions at the time. People were like, you're heathens, you're blasphemers, you're going to hell, you're going to bring us to rot in the society, we're going to kill you, we're going to persecute you, we're going to disagree with you in many sort of ways, we're going to take you out of your jobs, we're going to neglect you, we're going to discriminate against you. These are things that have happened, but the people who were doing it still thought that this was a theory. This is a theory about the way things are, that some gods conspired, and then they conspired together in these groups in order to spread this message out, and it was for a positive reason. That's why I'm saying that religions are just a benevolent conspiracy theory. It's almost admitted that we know, like I said, the Council of Nicaea, for an example, we know that there's actual books that were selected to be out of the Bible versus in the Bible. This is admitted by the top people in the religion. They agree with that. Like, yes, we selected what was going to be in here. For a long time, the Bible was being read in Latin. They were like, we're not going to actually let you guys actually read the words. The Quran itself, it's supposed to be only read in the language that it was written. You're not allowed to change it. You're not allowed to really do too much study unless you actually study it in the actual way that it is. And that already limits a vast amount of the population from coming to actually read it and try to attempt to understand it. When you talk about Judaism, some of the people who actually run it go into just times and times of study. Like the rabbinical class actually spend their entire life just reading over these books and going to really in-depth. How accessible is that to just the general populace? So there are just these things where it's a benevolent conspiracy theory. That's just the thought that I want to expand on. Let me know what you think about that. Like, share, and subscribe. There's links below to our merchandise store. You can help me out. I really just appreciate you coming to listen to this. Till next time, goodbye.
Hapa hiyo ikitokea hiyo. Wacha